Hey everyone, welcome to the Divorce Dispatcher, where we dive into the wildest, most unbelievable stories of divorce, breakups, and family drama. Stories that'll leave you speechless. Today we have three stories about cheating. Our first story is from Jack.
Husband 40, wife 38. When I met Melissa, I thought I had found my soulmate. She was kind, beautiful, and the perfect partner. We married, had 2 kids, and lived a comfortable suburban life. Melissa was a stay-at-home mom who always seemed to put our family first. I never had any reason to doubt her, but as time went on, I noticed small inconsistencies, disappearing for hours on end, unexplained charges on our credit cards, and secretive phone calls. One day while Melissa was out running errands, I got a call from her supposed best friend, a woman I'd only met once or twice. She told me she needed to tell me something, but we had to meet in person. I was confused and nervous, but I agreed. What she revealed that day shook me to my core. Melissa had another life, a husband, another home, and a teenage son. I felt like my entire world had been a lie. Melissa had married me while still legally married to her first husband, a man who had no idea she had moved on and started another family. She had been living a double life, splitting her time between us and them, using any excuse to cover her tracks. Every girls' night out was a trip to see her other family, and every weekend away was spent with the husband I never knew existed. When I confronted her, Melissa didn't deny it. She just looked defeated, as if the weight of her lies had finally caught up with her. "I never wanted it to be like this," she said quietly. "I was afraid of losing everything. But there was no fixing this." I filed for divorce the next day, furious that my marriage was built on deceit. Melissa fought me every step of the way. She tried to downplay her actions, insisting that she had always loved me and that her other life was a mistake she couldn't undo. But I couldn't move past it. I had been betrayed in the worst way, and I couldn't imagine ever trusting her again. How do you protect yourself when you find out your spouse is living a double life? What are your legal options when your marriage is a lie? Can you ever recover from such a deep betrayal?
Divorce Dispatcher. You rang? Divorce Dispatcher is here to answer your questions. Discovering your spouse has been leading a double life with another family is an unimaginable betrayal, and it's important to understand your legal options when dealing with this kind of deceit. Now, if your spouse was still legally married to someone else when you married, your marriage might be considered invalid, which could open the door to annulment. However, an annulment could leave you without the legal protections of a divorce, including spousal support, property rights, and custody considerations. For many, divorce remains the more practical option, especially when considering the financial and emotional investment in the marriage. When facing a spouse who has lived a double life, gather all the evidence you can. Emails, texts, financial records, anything that proves the extent of their deceit can be crucial in court. This documentation can support your claims during custody battles and the division of assets. Moving forward from this kind of betrayal is incredibly difficult, but protecting your rights and seeking emotional support can help you start to rebuild. You deserve a fresh start, free from the lies that have plagued your past. To our listeners, have you ever dealt with a spouse leading a double life? How did you cope with the emotional and legal challenges? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Up next is the story of Ivan. Imagine building a life together, only to realize it was all part of a plan.
Husband, 30, wife, 28. When I met Lena, she was everything I'd ever dreamed of. Smart, beautiful, and full of life. She had recently moved to the US on a student visa, and we hit it off instantly. Our whirlwind romance led to a quick engagement, and within a year we were married. I thought it was fate. Lena was my soulmate, and I was ready to give her the world. But as soon as we were married, things started to change. Lena became distant, often disappearing for hours without explanation. She'd avoid conversations about our future and seemed more interested in partying with her friends than building a life together. It wasn't long before I started to feel like I was just a convenience to her, an easy ticket to a green card and nothing more. I tried to talk to her about my concerns, but Lena would always brush me off. "You're being paranoid," she'd say with a dismissive wave. But the more time went on, the more I realized that she never intended to build a real marriage with me. She had used me to secure her stay in the country, and once she got what she wanted, I became nothing more than a roommate. When I confronted her with my suspicions, Lena didn't even bother to deny it. "You were just an easy way to stay here," she said bluntly. "I never asked for this." I was devastated. I had given her everything, my love, my home, my commitment, and it had all been a lie. I filed for divorce, but Lena threatened to drag the process out as long as possible. She knew that if the divorce happened before her green card was finalized, she could lose everything. She turned what should have been a clean break into a legal battle, accusing me of trying to ruin her life. I was left wondering how I could have been so blind. Questions. How do you protect yourself when you suspect your marriage was just a means to an end? What legal steps can you take to dissolve a marriage that was built on deception? Can you recover from the betrayal of a marriage that was never real?
Divorce dispatcher. You rang? Divorce dispatcher is here to answer your questions. When you find yourself trapped in a marriage that was primarily motivated by immigration status, the emotional and legal fallout can be particularly complex. If you believe your spouse married you solely for a green card, there are specific legal avenues to explore. Immigration fraud is taken seriously, and you can report your suspicions to immigration authorities, which could impact your spouse's status. However, this path can be legally and emotionally draining, so it's essential to consult with both a family law attorney and an immigration lawyer to understand your rights and options. Filing for divorce is often the most straightforward way to sever ties, but be prepared for a challenging process if your spouse tries to delay proceedings to protect their status. Documenting your spouse's behavior, texts, emails, any evidence of their intentions, can be crucial if the matter goes to court. Rebuilding after a marriage built on deceit will take time. It's not just about the legal outcome. It's about healing from the emotional scars of being used by someone you trusted. Therapy and a strong support system can help you move forward. For those listening, have you ever felt used in a relationship or discovered your partner's motives weren't what they seemed? Let's share our stories and support each other in the comments below. And for our final story, we witness the unraveling of a marriage built on love but torn apart by hidden truths. Let's hear the story of Ali.
Husband at 36, husband 34. When I met Matt, I felt like I had found my other half. We were both young, ambitious, and excited to start our lives together. Matt was charismatic and funny, with a smile that could light up any room. We connected on every level. Our love for travel, our shared career goals, and our desire to build a life together as an openly gay couple in a world that didn't always accept us. For years we were inseparable, and our marriage felt like the safest, happiest place in the world. But as time went on, things started to change. Matt's career was taking off. He had landed a dream job that required him to travel frequently. At first, I was proud and excited for him. I wanted to support his ambitions, but I couldn't ignore the growing distance between us. The long nights alone, the missed dinners, and the constant phone calls that went unanswered, it all started to add up. Matt would always say he was busy, caught up in meetings, or too tired to talk when he got back to the hotel. I tried to be understanding, but it felt like I was slowly losing him to his job. Our once passionate connection faded into brief text messages and hurried phone calls. When Matt was home, he was distracted, always on his phone, and barely present. I tried to talk to him about how I was feeling, but he'd brush it off, saying I was overreacting or being needy. This is just a busy season, he'd insist, but the busy season never seemed to end. Then things took a darker turn. Matt's mood became unpredictable. One minute he was the charming man I fell in love with, and the next, he was distant and cold. He started drinking more, using it as a way to unwind after work, but it quickly became excessive. Our conversations turned into arguments, and I found myself tiptoeing around him, trying to avoid setting him off. I didn't recognize the man I had married, and I felt like I was living with a stranger. The breaking point came one night when Matt was out on a work trip, and I received a call from one of his co-workers who had become a close friend of ours. She hesitated before speaking, but finally, she confessed that Matt had been seeing someone else. a man he had met through work. I was stunned. I confronted Matt as soon as he returned home, and he didn't deny it. He just stared at me, his face a mix of guilt and resignation. "I didn't mean for this to happen," he said quietly. "I'm sorry." I was devastated. Our marriage, our love, the life we had built together, it all felt like a lie. Matt tried to explain, saying that he had felt trapped, overwhelmed by the pressures of his job and our relationship, but his excuses only made things worse. We tried counseling, but Matt was checked out, more interested in his phone than in fixing what was left of our marriage. I couldn't compete with his career, his drinking, or the other man who had taken my place. I filed for divorce, heartbroken and angry that the man I thought I knew had drifted so far away. Our split was bitter, filled with accusations and tears, but in the end, I knew it was the right decision. I loved Matt, but I couldn't keep sacrificing myself for a man who had forgotten how to love me back. Questions. How do you cope when your partner's ambition and infidelity tear your marriage apart? What steps can you take when you feel like a stranger in your own relationship? Can you ever truly recover from the betrayal of someone who promised to be your forever?
Hello, divorce dispatcher here. You rang? Divorce is never easy, but it can be even more complicated when one partner's career and infidelity become the main issues. When your partner's career ambitions overshadow your relationship, it's crucial to communicate your needs clearly and seek professional help before things spiral. In Matt's case, his infidelity compounded an already difficult situation, highlighting the importance of boundaries and honest conversations about your needs and expectations. Legally, infidelity can play a role in divorce proceedings, especially when it affects the division of assets or spousal support. Documenting instances of cheating and its impact on the marriage can be useful if you're pursuing a fault-based divorce. In some states, this can affect financial settlements. To everyone listening, have you ever felt like your partner's ambition or outside interests overshadowed your relationship? How did you handle the emotional and legal challenges? Let's discuss in the comments below and support each other. Disclaimer: the information provided here is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please consult a qualified attorney in your location for specific legal advice. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please comment, like, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next video. Your support means a lot, and we love hearing from you in the comments. Divorce Dispatch is signing off duty. Until next time, take care.